80s synth type of music has to be one of the biggest blessings for the horror genre. Southbound is a horror anthology film about 5 intertwining stories that all take place on the same day on this long stretched highway. Southbound, you guys, was an absolute blast, and I loved this movie, you guys. Love this movie. There is so much to endure that I'm just going to tell you now. I highly recommend that you see this movie. I think it's currently, on demand and in select theaters. And I rented the movie off of iTunes, and man, was that the best $7 that I spent on this movie. Honestly, the best thing about this movie is the tone of this film. Each segment was directed by a different person, yet they do such a fantastic at keeping a consistent tone and a consistent pace and energy with the film that must have been extremely difficult to master. And the movie offers some pretty darn cool scares. Even the jump scares in this movie were pretty effective in my opinion. I just really loved the acting and the production value. The makeup was really well done, and I feel like it would be a crime to not mention the fan-freaking-tastic score in this movie. The Gifted has done the score to this movie, and they knocked it out of the park. I have been listening to it non-stop. It is very much in the veins of like It Follows, so that sort of synth type of music, but man, does it accomplish this movie so good. Now, in terms of faults, I will say out of those 5 segments, the last 2 segments are by far the weakest in my opinion, and the 4th one is by far the weakest of all the 5. Now, they are still entertaining and still enjoyable to watch, but I believe that's just because the 3rd segment in this movie is just so freaking insane. I'm not going to spoil it, but an accident occurs, and how this person has to respond to this accident and where it leads him is just so nerve-wracking. I was on the edge of my seat, and there is some great shock value to be had in that segment. But the 4th and the 5th one, in a sense, they don't have that sort of creative juice, in my opinion, that the first 3 offered. You were on such a high after the 3rd one that it can't quite master that high. Now, while the last 2 segments don't quite hit as hard as the previous 3, Southbound is still an absolute blast and that perfect sort of midnight horror movie special you want in your life. As the score goes, I'm going to give Southbound a 4 out of 5. So you guys, have you been looking forward to Southbound? Did you see this movie? Please go check it out if you haven't. And until next time, you guys, I'm the Slasher Movie Viewer, and you guys have just been slashed.